So can you believe it? Yesterday marked exactly 85 years since the establishment of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, or the SABC as we all know it. Following the establishment of the organisation on the 1st of August 1936, the SABC first broadcast services in English and Afrikaans, which was then the country's official languages. Broadcasts in languages such as isiZulu, isiXhosa, Sesotho and SeTswana then followed in 1940. The first SABC News Radio bulletin went live on the 17th of July 1950. And this was after the National Party took power and began implementing its racial segregation policy of apartheid. So the SABC is the public broadcaster in South Africa and provides 19 radio stations as well as various television broadcasts to the general public. It is one of the largest South African state-owned enterprises. And to reflect on the institution's legacy, we're joined by Bongumusa Makhathini, who is the chairperson of the SABC board, as well as Minister responsible for the Ministry of Communications and Digital Technologies, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams. Good to have both of you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Leanne, and thank you for having us.
So, Minister, let me begin with you. I mean, it is a big occasion. I mean, 85 years of existence of the SABC. I mean, your message on this day, on this massive birthday. I suppose it was yesterday, but what is your message?
My message today, Leanne, not only to the SABC team, but to all South Africans, is to say 85 years down the line, and you are still here, creating lifetime memories. Therefore, whatever the challenges that we have gone through, it tells you that you are capable of being the best that we have been in all these years. So mine is to say, happy 85th anniversary, SABC, its viewers, the board, all the entire stakeholders that matter in the lives of the broadcasting that you are responsible for.
Yeah, I mean, 8.5 decades, you know, just to get your head and your mind around the fact that that's how long it's been. I mean, Chair, you know, you came in at a very difficult time, and I don't want to dwell too much on the difficulties because it is a celebration that we are looking at today. So, you know, for you, it's been a challenge, but when you look at the organisation as a whole, I mean, all of us grew up watching the SABC, and I mean, you were no difference, no doubt.
Certainly. I mean, SABC has been part of the lives of South Africans. And it is very exciting to see SABC celebrating 85 years. And we want to really thank general public, SABC management and staff for the support and the hard work that they have given and contributed to make this great organization great. And we're looking forward to another 85 years.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about the SABC, and that goes without say, is the dedication from the staff that work here, because you hear one thing, and Chair, I'm sure you've experienced it, is the fact that in order to work in this industry, it takes more passion, dedication than anything else, because it is a very challenging environment to keep going 24 hours a day and bringing whatever it is, entertainment, news, you name it, it is happening here. So, you know, just looking at sort of the adventure that we've gone through, I mean, what does it mean to you?
For me, it's been a very humbling opportunity to be the chair and to contribute in a small way to make SABC sustainable and to contribute in its turnaround, working with the board, the collective, and the support from the minister. It would have been impossible for the SABC to achieve what we've been able to achieve. And we're really looking forward to the support that we continue to get from South Africans in a number of ways, that by paying TV licenses and by giving us input and being critical of the things that we do and really being interested in what SABC is about.
Minister, I mean, when we look at the SABC and obviously coming from the history and the background, which I outlined in the introduction, where it did become, you know, somewhat of a mouthpiece for government. And during the apartheid years, that was something we saw. And there's always been these accusations towards the SABC, even now in the advent of democracy, that the organisation still is somewhat of a mouthpiece for the SABC. Is that how you see it? I'm not for the SABC, for government. I mean, how do you view the SABC?
Well, and Well, and as you know, as this government of the ANC, as from 1994 up to date, we've always emphasized the need for us to ensure that SABC remains a public broadcaster. I mean, like, if we wanted a mouthpiece, we wouldn't have converted SABC, have those consultations with the public. But we keep on ensuring that in everything that we do, be it legislation, be it regulation, but SABC keeps on ensuring that it delivers on a public mandate. We have never, Leanne, I know there's been lots of misconception or perceptions out there, but when we try to intervene on certain things, then people begin to say, no, the state wants SABC to be a mouthpiece. If SABC is a public broadcaster, as we say it is, it therefore tells you that it has to broadcast matters that belong to the majority in terms of the interest that we see. And I want to see if there is any South African who doesn't take interest in what government does. Because the fact that when we do work on government and then people begin to say the way SABC is doing things, they want to now be to change to be a mouthpiece. We are not looking for a mouthpiece. If we were looking for a mouthpiece, we could have done that when we started the process, but we came up with a clear resolution, Leanne, to say we want to do away with that SABC was, wherein it was used for all the bad and the good that it was used for, but to say let SABC be able to tell the stories of South Africa, and those stories include criticizing government when it's not doing well, but at the same time reporting on the good that government is doing, balancing the policies that we develop as government together with the socio-economic impact that talks to the viewers and the ordinary South Africans that we have.
I mean, Chair, the public broadcasters, as we've alluded to during this interview, has also gone through a tumultuous period. I mean, we've seen a lot of staff, people that I've spoken about before during the interview, unfortunately losing their jobs. And a lot of this has been brought on by bad management in part. How do you feel we are doing now? I mean, have we really turned the tide?
Certainly we have.
Thank you so much.
Chair, perhaps you'll answer this, and then Minister, if you'd like to add to it. Chair?
Thank you, Liam. Sorry about that. We have turned the corner as the SABC, and I do want to acknowledge that the process we've gone through of retrenchment was a painful process, but unfortunately necessary one if you consider the challenges that the organization had been faced with. So when you look at where we are now, I mean, looking at the first quarter, for an example, it's really starting to show that SABC has turned the corner, because we're starting to record positive revenues. And also when you look at our audiences, they've increased. And also the levels of engagement by our staff members, it really shows that SABC is turning around, and we're really grateful for the contribution by our own employees that have really supported the SABC and given their best during these trying times.
Yeah. In terms of financial stability, how are we looking there? Because, I mean, this really was what the process was all about. Are the financial books looking better?
Certainly, the financial books are looking better. We did get a bailout from government of 3.2 billion rand, and we've been able to utilize that contribution from government, one, to procure compelling content which is necessary for the future of the SABC from a revenue turnaround. We've also been able to use that money to improve and enhance our infrastructure, but also we've been able to pay those that we used to owe money. But our own initiatives around revenue generation are starting to show positive results. I mean, the sales team has done a sterling job in really going out there and getting our clients to commit to the SABC. In the last few months, we did indicate that SABC has seen a profit of about 43 million rand for the first time in 5 years. And the first quarter, like I've indicated, has shown growth of more than 5%, so, you know, against budget. And those indicates exactly that we are looking better financially, and we're becoming more and more financially sustainable, which is the most important thing.
So as we wrap it up, Minister, I'll leave it with you. Obviously, the DTT migration project is something that, you know, we keep seeing being pushed, and the deadline now, of course, we're seeing moved to, I think it's beginning of next year. But this is a moment where we will talk about the future of the public broadcaster, because a lot of it rides on that. So perhaps you can give us the update on the migration and where you see the future of the public broadcaster in all of this.
Thank you, Leanne. Indeed, as government, we have delayed a lot in terms of rolling out the digital migration. And of course, critical to the delays were the lots of policy uncertainty, different implementation models that were proposed. Hence, we asked Cabinet to review the decision and the policy that was taken. And we are now pleased to report, as you indicated earlier, that we committed to the March 2022 deadline. And our teams are throughout. We were with SABC in Free State when we were switching off some of the analog transmitters. We are planning to do so even in other provinces. The focus for now is on the 3 provinces wherein we're rolling out the stock that we have in the existing post offices. And the second level or the second phase is the one where we're going to be distributing vouchers to the remaining 3.2 million households. And we are doing this, Leanne, because in the entire ecosystem, the past 12 years that government has tried to roll out digital migration, it was embedded with lots of challenges, from poor workmanship on installation, from an unavailability of the set-top boxes, which is why as the department, we first met with the manufacturers because we needed from them in terms of their capability. And indeed, they made certain proposals that we must go and review the regulations in terms of the standards. And that was done, hence it was finalized last year in October 2020. That is why now you see us saying we're moving to the second phase, wherein we are calling upon all industry players, especially the manufacturers, to make sure that they really put these set-top boxes or these devices in the retail shops, so that because we are not only looking at the subsidized market, there are people like me and yourself, and that will be able to afford to go and buy a device if they do not have the IDTV sets that we're talking about or any decoder that converts the signal. Mm-hmm. So we are on par in terms of saying March 2022, we would have migrated South Africa. We are pulling all stakeholders, and I want to thank SABC and the other broadcasters for their dedicated support in carrying out the awareness and the messages that they give out, including the industry, even the telecoms that have said, Minister, we are coming on board. Please tell us where to go. And we have the advisory body to the minister that is consisting of all the stakeholders that is looking at fast-tracking the process. So SABC will soon increase its channels as you talk about unemployment, as you talk about the jobs that were shredded, and that presents another opportunity when we increase those channels. Last year, SABC launched an education channel, and we are saying as government, we would like to see SABC having a 24-hour channel in terms of education, a 24-hour health channel, and other channels, and therefore all those that are in the content production space, they are presented with an opportunity to showcase their talent to South Africa, whilst we are talking about everybody, including the language experts.
We'll have to leave it there. We'll wait for the 24-hour channel so that we can expand our interviews and carry on longer. But it's an absolute pleasure to have had both of you, and happy birthday to the SABC, 85 years old. Talking to us, SABC Board Chairperson Bongumusa Makhathini, as well as Communications Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams.